If you're finding getting dressed a battle, leaving the house, major fights, do you have meal times when they scream at you and say no, bedtime battles, I'm not going to bed? If this sounds familiar, I suspect you're parenting a strong-willed child and it feels like every interaction is a standoff, but you're not imagining it and you're not failing. The way most of us respond to it is almost certainly making it worse, and I want to show you why. Now, if you're new here, please do hit subscribe. There's a new video most weeks, and this is part of a whole series on parenting strong-willed, determined, and sensitive children. So I'm Camilla. I'm a parenting coach who's helped thousands of families, and I'm a mum of 4 who's lived through plenty of these moments myself. And I help these parents of strong-willed and highly sensitive children find an approach that actually works, not just in theory, but in real exhausting live moments too. So let's start with what's actually driving this, because it's probably not what you think. Power struggles are almost never actually about the thing they appear to be about. They're not really about the shoes or the bedtime or the vegetable on the plate. They're about control, or more specifically, a child who feels they don't have enough control. Strong-willed children have an intense need to feel some agency over their own lives. And it's not a character flaw, it's just wired into who they are. And when they feel that control being taken away by instructions, demands, time pressure, hurry up, or just like the relentless pace of family life, they push back hard. And here's the part that trips most parents up. The more we push, the more they push back. That isn't defiance for the sake of it. That's a temperament response. A strong-willed child who feels cornered will dig harder every single time. And increasing the pressure doesn't break the deadlock, it actually deepens it. I had a client, a mum of 4, whose second son made getting to school a daily battle. He would run off, he'd hide under the bed, he'd refuse to get out the car, even when she'd somehow managed to get him in the car. She was trying to manage 4 children and felt completely overwhelmed. But the more her and her husband pushed, the more he resisted. They came to me exhausted and genuinely worried that this was just how things were going to be. What we worked on wasn't a new consequence system or a stricter routine. It was a completely different approach. She gave him more time in the mornings, not to cram in more, but to take the pressure off. She started showing more empathy about the things she knew were hard for him at school. And she began building more moments of genuine connection, especially at bedtime, when his guard was down and he was more open to talking to her. The battles didn't stop overnight, but she started to see a real shift. And the change wasn't just in him, it was in the approach. Now here's the reframe that makes everything else make sense. Connection reduces resistance. A strong-willed child who feels genuinely seen and understood, who feels like we're on their side rather than against them, is so much more willing to cooperate. Not because they've been broken down, but because the need to fight has gone. Now, if you'd like a practical framework for getting your child to cooperate throughout the day, not just in the power struggle moments, but in all the moments where they dig their heels in or they don't understand, get my free guide, How to Get Your Kids to Listen Without Nagging, Shouting, or Threatening, using the GREAT method. And it's exactly what you need. So the link is in the description below. Grab it now so you don't forget. So here are 3 practical shifts that make a real difference. First, look for where you can give them genuine choice within the boundary. So, do you want to do your teeth before the bath or after? We're still brushing their teeth, but we're giving them choice. Do you want to switch the TV off, or shall I? We're not leaving it on, but we're giving them a choice. These are just 2 examples. You'll want to think of your own. The boundary is firm, the choice sits inside it. That small bit of control takes the fight out of so many moments. Second, give more time and more warning than you think you need. Strong-willed children struggle enormously with transitions. So a 5-minute warning before anything changes gives their brain time to prepare. It doesn't eliminate all the resistance, but it can reduce it significantly. And third, invest in connection outside these flashpoints, the bedtime conversation, the car journey, the moment after school when you just sit with them looking at baby photos. These moments matter more than most parents realized, because a child who feels connected to us in the calm moments is so much easier to reach in the difficult ones. Power struggles are almost never about the child being a really difficult child, even though it feels like that way. They're about a child who needs to feel they have some say in their world, and a parent who is trying to get things done. When we understand that, we stop trying to win and we start trying to connect. And connection is what actually creates cooperation. Now, if you've ever stood there, insisting your child says sorry and wondering why it never works, click the video on screen and I'm going to show you exactly why forcing an apology backfires and what to do instead. And if you would like to talk about what's happening in your specific family and get my input, and I can tell you about how you could work with me, book a discovery call. It's in the description below and it's free. And remember, if you haven't already grabbed that great guide, how to get your kids to listen without nagging, shouting or threatening, the link is in that description too. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you get alerted when the next video comes out.